It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I'm here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. You can email me as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. And I got to tell you, I am in such a good mood right now. I am so excited. In 55 minutes, as soon as this show's over, I am leaving here in my home studio in the Valley to go to the Hollywood Bowl. My wife and I have tickets tonight for the Netflix is a Joke Fest at the Hollywood Bowl. And here's the lineup of comedians. It starts with Sebastian Maniscalco. Then you've got Nate Bargatze, Jim Gaffigan, and Jerry Seinfeld. This is going to be incredible, and I am so looking forward to this show. I got reminded like a week ago that I bought these tickets. Like, oh, yeah, we got to go to that. I think I bought these tickets before I was even doing this show and before I was doing it from home. And there was a whole thought process of how exactly am I going to get from Culver City to the Hollywood Bowl in an hour? Getting from the Valley to the Hollywood Bowl in an hour, a little easier, but getting from dumpy Culver City, where the radio station is, all the way to Hollywood from 6 to 7:30, that seemed impossible. So thank goodness for the advent of working remotely, something that I look forward to every single day. As much as I love working from the studio, doing the noon to 3 show with Johnny, there is something so special. It's just me and you, the audience, in my gym room / studio that I've been broadcasting from for the past few months now. So I'll be running out the door, and there's just something so special about the Hollywood Bowl. I mean, for all the flack that we have to deal with living in Southern California, we get access to some of the best entertainment, some incredible venues, and I'm sure everybody out there has a Hollywood Bowl memory that really shines for them, something really special that they saw. And I want to talk about the Hollywood Bowl today because it's such a exciting venue, even though it's also such an old venue, but it's such an iconic part of living in Southern California. Everyone that's listening to this show has some shared experience of not only seeing something incredible at the Hollywood Bowl, but most importantly, all the hassle of getting to the Hollywood Bowl. And I got to tell you, my process of trying to figure out the best way to get to the Hollywood Bowl has changed a lot over the years. Because I think the first time I went to the Bowl, Lyft and Uber was not a thing. I'm pretty sure the first time I went to the Bowl, I used the Red Line because it was like 2008 and it was still not that unsafe. And I would take the Red Line down to Hollywood and Highland, and then I would hoof it up the hill, up Highland to go to the Bowl. And in fact, I can remember what my very first Hollywood Bowl show was. It was Earth, Wind & Fire Works on the 4th of July. I want to say this was 2008 or 2009. At that point, I had never been to the Hollywood Bowl. I just, I wasn't cool. I didn't have a whole lot of fun things to do. I had fun things to do, but I lived in Valencia. It was a pain in the ass to get to Hollywood. I think by the time I turned 21, I'd been to Hollywood once or twice, once to go to this 80s club and then once to just drive around. But, I remember being 21, 22, 23, going to the Hollywood Bowl, seeing Earth, Wind & Fire with fireworks. That sounded like a lot of fun. I went by myself. I was just like, I want to go to a concert. And I didn't know anybody at the time that would want to go with that with me. And you know what? It was a really good time. And it had to have been 2008 or 9 because I very distinctly remember I brought pot with me. I didn't smoke it inside the bowl because I didn't feel cool enough to do that. But as we were walking out of the Hollywood Bowl and you're in that massive crowd trying to get to Highland Boulevard, trying to get to the parking lot, I'm like, you know what? I'm in a massive crowd. I'm going to puff away at a joint. And, well, those are the things you get excited about at the age of 22 or 23. But here's what I want to do, because there's so much irritating news out there. I'm sure everybody listening has had an ass full of the protests that are going on at UCLA and USC. Let's have some fun tonight. Let's enjoy ourselves. And I'd like to talk to the audience specifically about your Hollywood Bowl memories. There's three things I want to know. I want to know the first thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl. I want to know the best thing you've ever seen at the Hollywood Bowl. And I want to know what you think is the best way to get to the Hollywood Bowl, because I'm actually trying to decide right now if it makes more sense to Uber to a shuttle lot and take the shuttle, or Uber straight there, sneak on the shuttle to get back to the Valley after the show. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's enjoy ourselves tonight. Reflect on the incredible venue that is the Hollywood Bowl. What is the first thing that you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl? What's the best thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl? And how do you think the best way to get to the Hollywood Bowl is? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's such an interesting venue because, of course, there's concerts. Of course, there's also the Philharmonic stuff and the jazz festivals and any of the things that are actually put on by the Hollywood Bowl that are not lease events. You can bring your own food. You can bring your own wine. I can't tell you the amount of times I went to the bowl thinking that, oh, I could bring wine to this. And then you've got to chug an entire bottle of red wine in the parking lot because you can't bring it in. But I've learned my lesson. And even though you can't bring in your own wine to a lease event, I got to tell you, the wine bar that's in the Hollywood Bowl, Inn's Wine Bar, not at the regular concession stands. There's actually, right there in the front before you go in, there is a big old wine bar. Sometimes there's a line to get in there, but they have, by the bottle, some really good stuff. We've gotten, I think, a Brewer Clifton Pinot Noir there. My buddy Ernst Storm, we've had his wine there. And you get yourself a bottle, which they have to, because they can't give you a bottle of wine at a big old concert. So what do? They give it to you in one of those big old cups, a big plastic cup full of wine. You get your little tiny wine cups and you enjoy yourself. But oh boy, do I love the Hollywood Bowl. And they have so many different kinds of shows that they would show you there. I've seen live performances. I saw a live performance of Chicago, not the band, the musical, with Ashley Simpson playing the main role. That was a fun one. I remember once I went with my friend Cassie to see Kanye do his entire 808s album there, which was the one that was all auto-tune. And that wasn't really my favorite album, but I'm sure he'll do an encore or two with some of the stuff that I really liked at the time. And no encores for Kanye. You know what was a really fun one? My wife and I went to when they did Little Mermaid Live, where they'll play a movie with the live orchestra, and then for the songs, they'll have celebrities come out and sing the songs live. And John Stamos was there, and Titus, I was about to say Titus Andromedon, the guy that plays Titus Andromedon. Titus Burgess was there, who actually, he was Sebastian at Little Mermaid on Broadway, but he played Ursula. That was incredible. My wife and I are big country fans, so we saw Zac Brown Band a couple of times there. But if I had to say, what's the best thing that I've ever seen at the Hollywood Bowl? Hands down, it's what I saw last year. And not only is the best thing I ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl, it's the best concert I've ever been to, hands down. My wife and I, and this actually, I got tickets to this thing from the radio station. My wife and I went both nights, the Hollywood Bowl, to Willie Nelson's 90th birthday. Willie Nelson's 90th birthday was the most incredible night. It was such an amazing place to be. It really felt like we were marking history with so much good energy. You had artists from so many different genres and generations all coming up on stage, talking about how much they love Willie Nelson, singing their favorite Willie Nelson song, and then it culminates with Willie Nelson playing on stage with absolute legends. I think, the first night, Willie came out with George Strait, did a set with him. Then Willie Nelson was sitting out there with Neil Young and Stephen Stills. Like, what is going on here? Keith Richards came out at the end of the last night. It was such a spectacular show. We actually, we met up with my wife's cousins, our cousins who came up from San Diego. We all went together. They had separate seats. So we did the sneak a drink where we went up to get a bottle of wine and we brought it to their seat. Like, here, You go enjoy this. It was, oh, that was the best time. But that's me. That's the best thing I ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl. Here's what I want to know from you at 800-222-KABC. The first thing you ever saw at the bowl, the best thing you ever saw at the bowl, and what you think is the best way to get to the bowl. 800-222-KABC. Let's start with Jerry in La Habra. Jerry, hello.
Randy, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Hey, Randy, I saw Fleetwood Mac's reunion tour. I think it was the dance in the late 90s when they got back together.
Oh, that's so cool.
And they were phenomenal. They sounded great. But I remember you mentioned this when you're leaving, when the concert's over, you're walking out, it's everyone's kind of stuck together trying to get out, and somebody must have had a crowd, and it was like the parting of the Red Sea. Oh, it was something else.
Totally. Jerry, it's such a cool experience. Thanks so much for sharing it. That's all I want to know from you. It's a simple topic tonight, but something we can all enjoy. Everyone's been to the Hollywood Bowl. What's the best thing you saw there? What's the first thing you saw there? What's the easiest way you think to get there? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Kenny in Long Beach. Kenny, hello.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Doing great.
The best, first, and only thing I've ever seen at the Hollywood Bowl was Van Morrison. My wife took me there for my 50th birthday, and Tom Jones was the opening act, and it was incredible. He came out, he started singing, I Like Pussycat, I Like Pussycat, Pussycat Likes Me. There were a whole bunch of people there that were just, like, screaming and yelling. It was a beautiful night to listen to Van Morrison with the moon was out. He sang Moon Dance, and they had these, there were these puffy white clouds in the night sky with crisscross beams of light that they shone up behind the bowl. It was incredible. As far as getting there, I don't even remember. I don't know how to tell you to get there.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to Uber there, and then when I'm leaving, I'm going to hop on one of the shuttles to get back to like the shuttle pickup in the valley and then Uber home from there. But that's incredible. You know, if that's your one experience, that's a pretty incredibly memorable one right there. It's hard to beat Van Morrison. Kenny, thanks so much for your story. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. What's the best thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to John in Pasadena. John, hello.
Hi, Randy. How are you?
Doing great.
Listen, best show, one of the best shows I've seen was the late, great Tony Bennett. And I was blown away because he actually walked into the place with a bottle of wine. I was totally unprepared to do that. I didn't get checked at the door. They just let us walk in with a bottle of wine. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, for the shows that are put on by the bowl, you can bring in your wine. It's great.
Yes, I did not know that at the time. And then the best way to get there is the shuttle by City Hall in Pasadena. $7 each
that's
way,
a great
and
one.
You could pack a cocktail to and from, so it's a good way to get there.
There you go. You're pre-gaming it. I love it. John, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Tony Bennett. You know, I that's one of those things where I wish when there were opportunities to see him, I would have taken that up because I think anyone could have had an incredible time at a Tony Bennett show, and now it's too late. But that guy was at the top of his game until at the end. But I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have seen some really incredible things at this one special venue that we all get to call home. Even the people who live in Orange County, the Hollywood Bowl is still home. 800-222-KABC. What's the favorite thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl? Let's go to David in Tustin. David, hello.
Hey, Randy. Thanks for breaking up the monotony. How are you?
Doing great.
Hey, the best thing I ever saw, and I have to give me a break here because it's probably 20 years ago. It was the music of the Lord of the Rings done by the LA Philharmonic. And I'm a Lord of the Rings geek, but the music was incredible. There wasn't a place you could go where you didn't get great sound. There was wine flowing wine and cheese flowing. And, man, it's great. It was a great time. I always remember it. And I've spent a lot of moons since that time, and I'm surprised I remember it. And the only reason I remember it is because you brought up the topic.
I love it. You know, David, I'm a fellow Tolkien fan. That sounds like an epic night.
It was. And as far as getting there, I'm sorry, I can't remember, but I think I drove.
Deal with that stacked parking, but hey, it's worth it. David, that's incredible. Lord of the Rings live with the Philharmonic. You know, one of the best concerts my wife and I went to a few years ago, this is actually at the Forum, but I believe they did it at the Bowl as well a year later, was the guy who composed Game of Thrones, just Game of Thrones music. Something about being in that whole crowd with so many like-minded people that love the soundtrack to a film or a TV show. Oh, it's such a good experience. And that's part of it too. You know, you get to meet people, everyone's in a good mood. Everyone's got a common love for whatever you're seeing on the stage. It's one of the reasons we live here. We get access to some great live music. But hey, what's the best thing you saw at the Bowl? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Mike in Irvine. Mike, hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello. How you doing? Listen, this is a great subject. This is the greatest venue in the world.
It really is.
I
love the Bowl.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I grew up, I'm in Irvine, but I grew up in Encino, so I'm a Valley guy. And on my 5th or 6th birthday, we went to Barnum and Bailey's Circus at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know how they were going to. Yes. Honest to God, and they did every act you could imagine, except for they marched the elephants at the end of the show in the back. And it was just amazing. But the one thing I remember is they had a high wire act. The guy walked across where everybody was sitting. And I never forgot that. It burned in my mind.
Yeah, that's a pretty unforgettable experience. I love it. Mike, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Went to see the circus at the Bowl when he was 6. How cool. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Jeanette in Whittier. Jeanette, hello.
Hi, Randy. Oh, love you. Love your show, both you guys. Okay, my first show ever was in the 70s with my 3 older brothers, and it was American Jackson Browne. My first concert ever. It was a beautiful night. Lovely.
That's a pretty awesome first concert.
Oh, it was. And, you know, my brothers only took me because they had extra tickets. They were always going to concerts, but that's my first. But anyways, our best one ever was in 1999. Our kids were in high school. One was in high school and one was in junior high. We went to see Eric Clapton, and we took them. And it was the best night ever, Randy. It was just beautiful. It was the best. My kids still talk about it. Mom, that was the best. And they've gone to a lot of concerts, and we have, but they always say, Mom and Dad, you guys took the best concert ever. And I go, we did.
Getting to see Clapton live, that is incredible. Jeanette, I love it. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC. Peter in Calabasas. Peter, hello.
Hello, Randy. Listen, I love the energy of your show. It's fantastic. Thank you, sir. The first show I saw at the Hollywood Bowl were the Beatles.
Holy cow!
It was around 1972 or 3. I was still going to Hollywood High School. We didn't have tickets, but a bunch of us knew a way to go around behind the residential streets and park up there, and then we had to climb up the side of a mountain and get on the ridge looking down at the Hollywood Bowl.
That is incredible. I love it.
It was fantastic. And then the next one that I saw there, I remember, was Bob Dylan and Joan Baez in concert. So that had to be in the 60s. The lucky thing was going to Hollywood High School, we got to have our graduation ceremony at the Hollywood Bowl. That was so much fun. Thank you for putting this on the air.
I had a feeling this would get to people. Those are such great stories. Peter, thank you so much for sharing them with us. Snuck in to see the Beatles. How cool is that? 800-222-KABC is the phone number. There's something special about this venue, and everyone's got a story. We'll continue with your phone calls. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're going to have some fun tonight. We're taking your phone calls. I'm going to the Hollywood Bowl tonight to see Seinfeld, Maniscalco, Bargatze, and Gaffigan. I want to know the best thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl. 800-222-KABC. Dean in Studio City. Dean, hello.
Good afternoon.
Howdy.
Sitting in traffic, and you're making me smile. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hello? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, what's up, Dean?
1979, we took, my best friend and I took our dads to the Hollywood Bowl to see Playboy Jazz Festival to celebrate Father's Day. Annual tradition we have done almost every year. Now it's no longer Playboy Jazz Festival. One year, Hugh Hefner literally walked from the bottom of the stage all the way to the top, shaking hands with everyone. It was pretty crazy. And fondest memory was sneaking backstage to meet all the musicians before it was top security. He met his girlfriend at the bowl, and the most memorable thing was we snuck in a 10-foot banner, and he proposed to his girlfriend, and they got engaged there at the Hollywood Bowl.
That's amazing. I love that. That is so cool. Dean, thanks so much for the call and the story. Appreciate it. Mike also is into Playboy Jazz. Mike in Eagle Rock, hello.
How you doing? Also, Hollywood Bowl Playboy Jazz Festival, we had a former teacher, Brother Gregory Lira from St. Dominic's in Eagle Rock, who talked a group of us 20-year-old rock and roll kids to attend the Playboy Jazz Festival in 1980. And we wound up going for 18 years in a row, saw everyone from B.B. King to Jaco Pastorius, Nina Simone, every jazz icon you could ever think of, thanks to Brother Greg, who recently passed. My favorite act of all those years, the one that sticks out, was a band called Pieces of a Dream, who did a rendition of Time After Time. And thank you for letting me say that. And also, Garrison Keillor was awesome there. And how to get there so early. Anyway.
That's great. Mike, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. People got to see such incredible different things at this one venue. It's a piece of all our shared history. When we come back, we'll take even more of your calls right here on the News Blitz with Randy Wang. We're giving love to the Hollywood Bowl on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I'm here every single day, 5 to 6, talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. The phone lines are jammed. Let's try to get to as many calls as we can before 6 o'clock. We're giving love to the Hollywood Bowl tonight. I'm going, and I want to know the best thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl, maybe the first thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl, and the best way you like to get to the bowl. Let's start with Jerry in Sherman Oaks. Jerry, hello.
Hey, Randy. Congratulations on going tonight. Hope you have a great time. I got tricked into going to a show that I wasn't expecting. I'm a big jazz guy. My buddies were taking me, and they blindfolded me, and when we got there, turns out it was Mariachi USA, and I'm not much of a fan of the genre. And long behold, we go through the night, and we had a wonderful time. And man, was I wrong about that genre? And it turned out to be a great night. The music was awesome.
Oh, that's so fun.
The musicians were great. It was Cinco de Mayo in July. And I know the date is approaching. We're having another festive weekend, so it was a great time. It was a wonderful time. That show was amazing. The groups that were performing were stellar, and the music was complex. It was awesome. At first, I was just like, "There's no way we're doing this." I was about to walk out, but they brought the tequila. We were shouting. We were having a good time, and it turned out to be a fun night.
That's so cool. And you got exposed to a whole nother genre of music. I love that story. Jerry, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. Let's go to Kenny in Hollywood. Kenny, hello.
Hi, Randy. Thanks for taking my call. Randy, real quick before I get started on my Hollywood Bowl experiences, it seems like the past couple of days, maybe the last week or two, you've done a lot of talking about fast food and all your experiences with all of that. It's come up a lot. So I just have a quick suggestion. Could we rename the show Randy's News Drive-Thru? I just thought that might be a little more appropriate.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. I'm an LA native, so I've been going. I can't even remember the first time I went to the Hollywood Bowl. I think it might have been in elementary school to see some boring classical show. But I do have some really special memories of going there with my family when my kids were little, and we used to go every year for the fireworks shows. And one time, my wife and I went to see Carole King and James Taylor together, which is just amazing. We're all sitting there singing along. But if I had to choose my favorite time that I went to the Hollywood Bowl, there are actually two. One was going to see Monty Python live at the Hollywood Bowl, which if you're a Monty Python fan, they actually filmed it, and you can watch the video. It was just a great evening with all their best bits, really, really funny. But the most remarkable thing was back in the 80s, they had a show there called A Star-Spangled Night for Rights. I don't exactly remember what happened at the time. There was something political going on, and so they had this concert for free speech. And it starred Bette Midler, Lily Tomlin, and Richard Pryor were all there performing on one night. And the best part was that halfway through his set, Richard Pryor was telling some jokes, and I guess he upset some people, and there was a couple of boos in the background. And he just kind of looked at everybody and said, well, you know what? You can just kiss my tush. And he turned around and walked off stage, and we were all like, what just happened? Nobody could figure out what had happened. I had to read about it the next day. And my last thing is, as far as getting there, I'm old school. I like to drive. I know it's really expensive to park, and you have to deal with the stacked parking, but mostly it's the trip out. It's having to stand in line for that bus. That's the only thing with your suggestion for tonight. The only thing I could think of is then you still got to wait in that long line for the shuttle to get back to the park and ride. But doesn't matter however you get there.
There's no perfect way to get there.
Not at all. But you know what? Any way you get there, it's worth it.
Exactly. Kenny, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. I love that. Richard Pryor walking off the stage at the Hollywood Bowl of the 80s. We get some great stories here. Let's go to Charles in Santa Clarita. Charles, hello.
There are so many great shows, you know it. And no one's mentioning, but it's a little hidden secret, guys. Grab the Metro tap card and you ride that round trip bus for free. The parking's free at some of the park and rides like Ventura Boulevard. But anyway, some of the best shows, Randy, have not even been mentioned, but I did see the last shows of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Van Taylor I've seen, just saw me. But I wanted to jump on a show that you mentioned about Neil Young, Stephen Stills, and Willie Nelson, because I wanted to go to that show. I could not afford that $500 ticket. So a week earlier, it was Neil Young, Stephen Stills, Willie Nelson, Joe Walsh at the Greek Theater. And they did a special Light Up the Blues night at the Greek Theater. Sorry to mention the Greek, but the Hollywood Bowl, I got to mention, when I saw Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, I got to meet Joe Walsh out there in the audience, made me feel like a celebrity. And that it's really true what everyone's saying. It's like family, hanging out. It's just, I can't wait. I can't wait for my next show out there. I mean, I do miss Tom. I do miss Van Halen. I miss Eddie, Valerie. I miss Eddie still to this day. I did meet him and Valerie outside of the whiskey back in the day. I'm a bit of a nut. But
That's amazing, though.
And I love meeting. I met Tom Petty before he died outside the Troubadour, and back in 2008 when he did Mudcrutch. But I'm a huge fan. I've already got tickets lined up for the Hollywood Bowl. I don't know if you want to hear that, but really great shows coming up this year. Really good shows coming up.
Oh, totally. Those are some incredible memories, Charles. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. And you can always talk about the Greek, another incredible theater. We'll do a whole love letter to the Greek when I go see something at the Greek. 800-222-KABC is the phone number. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang, giving love to the Hollywood Bowl on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're getting your best Hollywood Bowl memories. Let's go to Tim in Lakewood. Tim, hello.
Hey, Randy.
Yeah, my first show was up at the Hollywood Bowl. He's seeing Neil Young, and we drove up there and parked in the grassy knoll where it was bracketing. And what reminded me so much of the show was while we were walking down, they had the porta potties out there, you know, in between the parking lines. And some guy was doing his best Neil Young when he's sitting in the porta potty singing, and all you hear is this, "Dear Mom, I see a brown log floating down the river." And that's about the only part of the lyrics that I can remember. But he went on for a good 35, 40 seconds. And I was just like, you're like, is Neil Young in the bathroom or what?
That's where he's doing
funny.
his practicing.
When he started talking about the bull, it just brought a smile to my face. I just remember that guy singing, "Hey, Mom, there's a brown log floating down the river." It was awesome.
That is an incredible story. I love it, Tim. Thank you so much for sharing that. More of your phone calls coming up in minutes. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're getting your phone calls in, your love for the Hollywood Bowl, the best thing you ever saw at the Hollywood Bowl. Let's go to Rose in Marina Del Rey. Rose, hello.
Hey, Randy. I don't know if I can top Tim's story, but this is a pretty cool one. You know those tribute bands? Well, my best friend wanted to go see the ABBA one, and the Neil Diamond tribute band was also there at the bowl. So it was her birthday, and we had the whole thing from Gelson's, including the birthday cake, and it was so enjoyable. So my friend was super happy, and then I had to fly back to Boston because my mom was having surgery on July 5th there. So I get settled in, and on July 4th, they have that big celebration at the Charles River at the Hatch Shell where they do the pops and the fireworks and everything. So I'm taking a jog around the Charles River, and all of a sudden I hear someone singing Sweet Caroline, and I'm like, what the heck is that? It sounds like Neil Diamond. So I continue to jog towards this Hatch Shell, and it was him in person rehearsing for the concert that was going to be on the 4th of July that evening. So it was a super cool memory. And
that's amazing. You go from Neil Diamond tribute to Neil Diamond.
Yeah, it was so cool, Randy. I didn't know he was performing there, and I didn't really know his tribute band was at the bowl. It was all about the ABBA tribute band for my best friend. And then it had to do with my mom, God rest her soul. So it was just a super memory. And within one day across the country, that's what I encountered. So anyway, I love the subject. It's real fun after a crazy week. So I hope you have a great time tonight.
Thanks so much, Rose. I love that story. Appreciate it. Neil Diamond tribute to Neil Diamond. All right, we're running out of time, so I'm going to try to get to everyone that's on hold, but let's try to go real quick here. Kyan in Sherman Oaks. Kyan, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great.
I remember that I went to see Gypsy Kings, and they were awesome. Somebody rolled a joint from all the way from the beginning of the row and passed it through. The whole place was, I think, high. And the best way to get in there is for you to stay away 5 blocks, walk out and into the place. If you want to take an Uber or drive, just go 5 blocks north or south and just walk it. That's the fastest and the best way. I used to do
That's
Uber.
That's a great way.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
Kyan, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Getting a joint smoked and passed to you at Gypsy Kings. That's pretty great. David in West Covina. David, hello.
Hello. Yeah, I went to Paul McCartney back in 2014, and he did all the Beatles songs. It was like seeing the Beatles.
Yeah, it'd be hard to beat that.
Totally
That's
amazing.
pretty incredible. Yeah, I love it. Thanks so much for the call, David. Appreciate it. Caroline, hello.
The one thing I always wanted to do was see a concert from a box. So I spent money I didn't have and saw my favorite band, The Who, like 3 rows back in a box. I always wanted to be in one of those
unforgettable,
boxes.
I bet.
Oh, yeah. I've been there lots of times, but I always wanted to sit in that box, and I picked my favorite band to do it.
You're so close, you could probably see the sweat dripping from Roger Daltrey's face.
Yeah, exactly. Although, one thing you haven't brought up, all the TV shows they film at the bowl. All the people who see the bowl. I saw a Columbo with Columbo and John Cassavetes sitting on the stage, and I'm like, oh, look, it's the bowl. That was really cool.
It is iconic. Thanks so much for the call, Caroline. I only get about 30 seconds left. Rita, what do you got for us?
Okay, Diana Ross puts on a beautiful show, personable, and she's still pretty good at her age. Beautiful.
Oh,
and the
she's a
Hollywood
legend.
Bowl is awesome. We are blessed in Los Angeles to have that venue. Blessed.
We really are. Rita, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Thank you all for sharing your memories with me. I'm even more psyched to go to the Hollywood Bowl tonight. We'll see you tomorrow for a Happy Hour Friday right here on the News Blitz with Randy Wang. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most, which today was the Hollywood Bowl on Talk Radio 790 KABC.